Well, hello, wonderful people. It is Christmas week, and the last 2 weeks, our word has been healing. And when we pulled that word, I thought, oh, what a lovely, soft, wonderful word to usher us into the end of 2019. And then, splat. You don't realize you need to be healed from something until something hurts. I've read where the definition of you've been healed when that thing no longer hurts. And I've been zipping along pretty fine, feeling pretty good, happy. And something happened to me in my professional life, and it sucker punched me. The worst part, it was an error that I was responsible for a project that I pour my heart and soul into, and I want it to be so good and so perfect. And it was beautiful, but imperfect. And this project needed to be perfect. I clamored to come up with workarounds, but the truth is, it needed to be redone from scratch. And my employers couldn't have been more gracious. My colleagues couldn't have been kinder. Everybody makes mistakes, right? But for me, I could not shake the self-abuse, the self-loathing, the ruminations, the self-hatred, the you name it. I mean, it's one thing to make a mistake. It's another to torture yourself about it. Have you ever done that? I know every one of us is imperfect, and my battle cry is my trademarked phrase, embrace your flawsomeness, which is fine if you're talking about a few extra pounds, or maybe the fact that my left eyebrow is higher than my right, or vice versa. But when it comes down to feeling like you let people down, I was crushed. And it doesn't serve anybody to be destroyed over a mistake, because, hey, you got to keep going. And you keep going, but you're hurt so bad until you finally have to stop and say, what is it? It's not the end of the world, so what is it? Why am I getting so gotten? And it took talking it through with a friend, praying, trying to find out the root. And for me, what set me free, because truth always sets you free. Even if it stings a little at first, it will ultimately set you free. And I realized that I am so exacting. I take such pride in perfection and such pride in my performance. And even though I've tried and have grown more to where my self-worth doesn't come from how well I perform, this had to come up to show yet another level of ego and performance that's involved and wrapped around my self-worth and well-being. I know I'm not the only person that struggles with this, but so you're saying, so what was the truth that set you free? Because just knowing the problem doesn't set you free. And I realized that I had been coming from a place of judgment toward other people, exacting, finding them out, looking for mistakes. To say it out loud sounds so ugly, but I've never withheld anything from you guys, the good, the bad, or the ugly. And so there is a spiritual law that says, with the same measure that you judge, it will be measured right back to you. And I needed to have a taste of that feeling. Sometimes, what is it called? Repulsion therapy. If someone's trying to smoke, they make them smoke until they can't stand it anymore. and then they don't ever want a cigarette. Well, this feeling of judgment was so awful and so ugly, even though it was self-imposed. It gave me a distaste to ever impose judgment on anyone else again. In fact, one of my favorite scriptures of all time has been, mercy triumphs over judgment. When put in a position where you could either show mercy or judge, choose mercy, 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 because blessed are the merciful. So I have found a measure of healing in embracing where I got off track, where I had judged, where I had pointed the finger out, and boy, it started pointing right back at me, and it feels awful. It didn't change my situation, but it changed how I could live with the situation and live with myself. So taking the time to ask why will often help you get to your healing. Talking to a good friend who isn't judging you, but being truthful enough to get you to that core truth. Oh, it's so important, guys. And my message for this holiday season and for the rest of our lives is, can you please give everyone else a break? And in doing so, you'll have far more grace and space to give yourself a break too. Because you will blow it. You are imperfect. You are human, as I am. And you can only embrace your flawsomeness if you embrace others too. So I'm asking for a word for our very special week. If you celebrate Christmas or Kwanzaa, whatever you're celebrating, here's our word for that week, and it is willingness. Being willing to go there. You can't change anybody else, and you can't change what has happened. What's done is done. But being willing to look at it and say, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? There is no such thing as failure, only lessons learned. And if you're willing to learn the lesson, then give yourself a pat on the back. This is an infinite game we are playing in life. And yes, maybe you've got some battle scars and you're maybe a little battle weary, but it's just one battle. It's not the entire war. And if you can learn and love along the way, you're ahead of the game. Willingness. Boy, those people that get on your nerves at that holiday table, instead of letting them push your buttons, be willing to just laugh at it and let it go. You'll have a much happier holiday season and rest of your life. I'd love to hear from you in the comments, wishing you and yours a most festive and happy, full of mercy and grace and peaceful holiday season.